And yeah, don't be shy. Just come on up. Yeah. We're going to hear from these guys, but just know a little bit about what these guys are doing in LaunchBox. There's a handful of families here at Crosspoint that work at an organization called IGO. And at IGO, we really believe in equipping and training the next generation to live on mission. And so at LaunchBox, that's what we do a lot. We do a lot of training. These guys have a week where we were in San Antonio, and we had different speakers from different worldview perspectives and things like that to talk to these guys about living on mission. And then we send them out to do different projects. Some of it is kind of that being light and hope, working at food pantries, different nonprofits and stuff like that. But the biggest thing we did that we would go to every day was these apartments complex in inner city San Antonio, where we worked with a guy named Josh Gaines who leads a ministry called Ethnos, where they do a lot of holistic ministry to the people in these apartment complexes. And the coolest thing to me about this week particular was that because of the virus, there hasn't been a lot of work at Ethnos. In fact, Josh said it had been over a year since any team had come and hang out with these kids. And you can imagine you think of inner city, a lot of poverty, a lot of broken homes, a lot of kids that just don't get a lot of positive attention. And for a lot of those kids, the bright spots in their year are when Ethnos brings teams in to work with them, to do VBS and just hang out with them and play and engage them. But having been a year since that had happened, the smiles on their faces was just crazy. You'll see it in the video in a minute, but you could just tell how much joy it brought just having some high school and middle school students to show up at their apartments, hang out with them and engage them and be intentional with them. So I'm going to let you hear from these guys. First, this is Jonathan Ray. He's going to share a little bit about his experience. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my name is Jonathan, and this was my first year at LaunchBox. I just had an amazing time. It was really impactful to me just to see how God served during that place in Ethnos and just in LaunchBox area. It was really a great time. Probably one of the most impactful things about LaunchBox for me was just to see the refugees every day, just to go out there and just help serve them and just pour our hearts out with them. These people who just fled from different conflicts, some from Afghanistan and others from Africa. It was just really cool just to see how happy they were when we came and just helped them and served them and shared the gospel with them. It was really impactful to me. And so I would just like to thank Mr. Lance, wherever he is, about just starting IGO Global in the first place and getting a chance for us youth just to be at LaunchBox and just to help serve these communities and get experience in sharing the gospel where they've not been shared before. Just so thankful for that. Also, Mom and Dad for providing the money so that I could have this great experience. That was awesome. So thank you so much for that.
All right. Thanks, Jonathan. This is Olivia Sutton. Go ahead.
I am Olivia Sutton. I'm in 6th grade. And this past week, whenever I went to LaunchBox, it really helped me learn about living on mission and changing other people's lives. And I really was impacted by this one time. We did lots of things, but this one day in particular, we went to an apartment complex and we were just handing out food and asking if we needed them to pray for anything. And this one family, they actually invited us in and we got to eat lunch with them and just be someone to love on their family. And even though we didn't get to stay the whole time and talk to them about the Lord, we got to display the gospel. We got to be someone to love on their family. And it just really made me open my eyes and want to live on mission. And it was a really eye-opener about how I want to change my life and how I want to live it now.
Awesome. Thank you. This is Mason. Mason, how many lunch boxes have you been at now? Is this your first lunchbox?
This is my second.
Second. Okay, cool. Go ahead.
So, I'm Mason. Our youth is already pretty close, but we're all a lot closer now. Shove us into a 5-hour car ride and make us sleep 4 hours every night. And you're gonna learn to love and hate everyone here. And the main thing with me that I was a little bit nervous talking before going to see the kids, the refugees, because last year was hard for me to connect a lot with the kids with language and culture and stuff. But it's definitely a God thing, because the first kid I talked to was a 5-year-old named, anyways, his name doesn't matter. He was a little African refugee, and the thing you'll learn about me is that I love two things so much, and it's Marvel movies and politics. And this kid, he knew every single Marvel movie, and he talked to me for over an hour about each one. I knew all of them already, but he wanted to tell me again. And he'd get distracted, come back, and tell me, so where was I? And I'd say, you were on Captain America. And he'd talk to me even more. And I loved that kid so much. And then the second kid on the last day, he was amazing. I love that kid. He's the smartest kid I ever knew. He's a 10-year-old boy from Afghanistan. And he knew so much about politics. And I love talking to him so much. I mean, I miss him every day. He was so great. And I mean, I ended up sharing the gospel with him. He was a little Muslim boy. He was so smart and so set in what he believed. I knew I couldn't convert him that moment, but I wanted to plant seed in him on the last day so that someone else could come along eventually. Maybe me next year, who knows. And the little boy, his name was Musa, because I'm horrible with names. And in that moment, I wrote it down in the note on my phone so I would not forget. And I miss that boy every day.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thanks,
That's
Mason.
all I have.
Very good.
So I got the opportunity this year to be a part of Launch Crew, which is a little different than going as a student. And so basically what that entails is when you do more of the work like behind the scenes, which is basically just setting up the students to serve. So really all that I did was put some stuff in bins and hand it to the students and say, here you go. Not really, but it was really cool to like stand on the other side. I've been going as a student in a youth group for a long time. I've been doing that. And so this year I got to go as a Launch Crew member, and that was really cool to see, just to like watch our youth group like serve. They did an amazing job. I am so proud to be a part of this youth group. They did so good. And one person I saw in particular, everybody did great, but one person I saw that did a phenomenal job was, is she here? Yeah, she is. Hope Cole. She did so good. So from the first day, she found a kid who had some special needs. And then every day after that, like, she made it her intention to seek this kid out and, like, just pour into him, like, something that maybe other students, like, wouldn't do. He was so full of energy. He was so sweet. But she just sought him out every day. She did a phenomenal job working with him. Gosh, they did so good. Anyways, so another thing they did really well was even when we went to Ethnos, they did a phenomenal job there. But even back at the church that we were staying at, they did such a good job of just helping out Danny in the kitchen. Like, they were all over wanting to help. I mean, too many cooks, not enough kitchen. And so we thought it would be hard to get people up out of bed at 6. Like, typically that's hard to get teenagers out of bed at 6. No, they did a great job. They did a really good job. So yeah, I was super excited. It was so fun to watch them. And yeah.
Awesome. You can hand that to Kate, please. Well, let's watch a quick video, real short, kind of highlighting the different things of LaunchBox, and then Kate will come up and share after that. Thank you, guys.
That was a really sweet testimony from Shelby about hope. I'm glad you shared that. So I think it wasn't just the inflatable cactus costume that somebody found, or the denim onesie that somebody found, or the Dollar Tree runs, or all the coffee. What am I missing? The dancing. Oh, we dance so much. The awesome driving and transportation. Thank you. The shower trailer, right? It wasn't just all of those things that made the week really incredible. It was the willingness of these students to do whatever was asked of them. There were times when we knew we were going one place, and then it was like, oh, let's call an audible because our group is so big and so effective in their ministry that they would split us. And nobody complained at all. All right, you're going to go and you're going to do this. And they would go and they would do it. And there were people in the community that noticed it. I took a group to Agape, and they work with underprivileged just families, and they allowed us into their thrift store warehouse to take whatever we wanted as like a thank you because we worked so hard. But then they allowed us to go into their thrift store that's open to the public, and there was a lady there that heard what our group was doing, and she picked up all the tags from what the kids wanted to buy with their money, and she bought it for them because she saw the good work that our students were doing. So that work and those students did not start with the evangelism training that Brad Cardwell gave them every morning. And they weren't just inspired from the night before whenever Pastor Lance would give a teaching. Like, these students were primed and ready to serve, and that's because of what they're learning in their homes. And so I really commend you parents for pouring into your students as much as you do, for connecting them to a biblical worldview, for saying, no, we're not going to walk in this way like the world. We're going to walk in this way and consider others more important than ourselves. Because really, as adults, we didn't have to work hard at all. We did the driving, really, and kind of kept them out of trouble. But we didn't have to, like, inspire and encourage them and constantly, like, hey, get up off of your rear end and go do something. Like, they were working constantly, from Monday until Friday, which you all clean up very well, by the way. So just continue. If you don't yet have a student in youth and you have littles, I really encourage you to, like, grab one of these youth and bring them into your home and point your little ones to the youth and be like, this is what we're aiming for. We're aiming for this types of boots on the ground, missions, face-to-face, working with people. And even when you don't feel like you're making a difference, you're being obedient, and the Lord's going to bless you. So students, you were obedient this last week. And the Lord's going to bless you for that.